Welcome to our channel. Here we read Bible stories written for children and adults alike. Our verse today is Philippians 4:19. But my God shall supply all your need. The family of Israel could have been in a serious situation because of the famine. But remember, God used Joseph to save his family. His brothers sold him into slavery to traders going to Egypt. Joseph said to them in Genesis 50:20, But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Today's story is entitled From Poverty to Plenty, taken from Genesis 45-50. With gladness, Joseph's brothers went back to their father in Canaan to tell him the wonderful news about their lost brother. They told him all about Joseph and of the invitation to go and live in Goshen. Jacob told them to prepare for the journey. So all the people and their hundreds of animals began the long trail into Egypt. Yet, when they reached Beersheba, where Abraham and Isaac had stopped over once long before, they stopped over too, for a very important reason. Jacob had not forgotten that he owed God the deepest thankfulness for giving him back Joseph once more. At Beersheba, he built an altar of stones, and a very solemn service and offering of thanksgiving was made to God. During that night, after the great service, God came to Jacob in a dream and spoke to him. Jacob, I am the God of your father. Don't be afraid of going down into Egypt, because I shall be with you, and you will see your son, Joseph. There I will make of you a great nation, and when the right time comes, I shall bring that nation out of Egypt once more. When they arrived in Egypt, Jacob and his family were 66 altogether. As soon as the news reached him of their approach, Joseph went out in his splendid chariot to meet them, and when he met his father, Jacob, they threw their arms around one another and cried. How wonderful to be together when they had not expected to see one another ever again. Joseph then took his father and 5 of his brothers to meet Pharaoh, and Pharaoh gave them permission to move into the land of Goshen, the very fertile part on the east of the Nile, where that great river flows down to the sea. There they lived happily, and Joseph saw to it that, however bad the famine became, they always had enough food. When Jacob was 147 years old, he felt that the time of his death was coming near. When Joseph heard this, he took his 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and went to see the old father, so that he might bless them. Jacob blessed all his own sons, and Joseph's 2 sons as well. Joseph was surprised to hear Jacob giving a greater blessing to his younger son, Ephraim, than to the elder, Manasseh. Manasseh would become a great man, and the father of a great tribe, but the greatness of Ephraim and his family would be much more. In time it happened just as Jacob had said. Soon afterward, Jacob died, and as they had promised him, they did not bury him in Egypt, but went all the way to Canaan to bury him with Abraham and Isaac in the cave of Machpelah. Now, when Jacob died, Joseph's brothers were very worried, so once more they sent messengers to him to beg his forgiveness. But Joseph reminded them of what he had said to them before. I am not God. True enough, you meant to do me harm, but God meant it for good, as it has turned out. Joseph died at the age of 110 years. Before he died, he had a last important message for them. God would still take them out of Egypt and return them to the land he had promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When they left Egypt to go to Canaan, they must take his body with them. Let's repeat our verse. Philippians 4:19. But my God shall supply all your need. I'm going to ask a few questions now. I'll give you a few seconds to think about it, and then I'll reveal the answer. Are you ready? Number 1. Why did Joseph and his family stop at Beersheba? They stopped at Beersheba to build an altar. Number 2. What did God say to Jacob about living in Egypt? God assured him it would be fine. They would not come to harm. Number 3. How did Joseph welcome his family? He came in a fine chariot to welcome them. Number 4. Why did Joseph's family live in Goshen? Pharaoh gave them the land to live in. Number 5. What message did Joseph give to his brothers? When he died, he wanted to be buried in Canaan. God provides our needs, according to Philippians 4:19. But my God shall supply all your need, according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. Just like our verse says. Joseph's life exemplified how God can use what we would think as our very bad things to bring about the best ending for us. Thank you for joining us on our Bible reading journey. I hope you can join us next time as we continue our story. We're done with Joseph for now, but next time we'll begin the story of Moses.